What's up guys, it's Andrew at Motorcycles Offroad. In this video, this is the 6 things you should know before buying a DR650. And in 2 days, I'll release a video which is the 6 reasons to buy a DR650. I had to split this up into 2 videos because I didn't want it to take ages. But I truly believe after you watch these 2 videos and my full review, which I'll pin in the comments below, that you'll have a very good bit of well-rounded information to make a decision whether this bike is for you, or if you already have the bike, put some information in the comments below, what you disagree, what you don't disagree. So for all the new people that are coming here, that can help them through reading through the comments to understand everything there is to know about this motorcycle. But that's it, let's get right into it. Alright, number 1 of my 6 things you should know before you buy a DR650. I kind of didn't know where to start, and there's a couple items that you're going to want to repair for longevity of this motorcycle. But firstly, I want to talk about its charm. It's dated, but it's charming. By taking one look at the DR650, you will notice straight away that this is an older motorcycle. It may be a 2024, even a 2025 model, but it's still going to look exactly how it did maybe 20 years ago. You have the ridiculous turn indicators, the super floppy front fender, and of course the old speedometer. Now my particular DR650 had the Trailtech Vapor, a Supermoto front fender, which may not be the best, but still looks a lot better, and the turn indicators replaced. The thing is, if you like that old style, then straight away this bike will appeal to your senses. But you as being a new buyer might feel a little insulted that you're going to pay top dollar for a 2024 model that looks a bit old. But of course with the big aftermarket support that you have with the DR650, you can bring it to life to make it look more modern if you wish, or if you're just an old school bike lover, then you could keep it the same. So that's why I say it's a bit charming, but it is also a bit dated. Number 2, there is a few things you're going to want to change straight away. Now, just like most motorcycles out there, and dual sports of course, there's always a couple upgrades you should do to make it, let's say, bulletproof, or you could suffer dire consequences. Number 1 is the neutral safety switch, or NSU. See, what tends to happen is Suzuki kind of maybe cheaped out in the beginning of the fasteners of the NSU, so the bolts can back themselves out. It's possible. I haven't actually met anybody that this happened to, but even if it's a 1 in 100, or I mean really even a 1 in 1000, you might actually want to address it yourself. Because what I'm told could happen is you will be riding along, all of a sudden the neutral light comes on or flashes on and off as you're in gear. You may or may not notice it. The components to the neutral switch could fall into your gearbox and grenade your engine, causing a catastrophic maelstrom of broken metal and shrapnel grinding up all its beautiful internal bits. Now when you buy one of these bikes, you can ask the previous owner, has he done this mod? And it's pretty easy to check it yourself if it's been done or not. But it's just something to be aware of. Number 2 on this point is the countershaft seal plate. It's a very easy thing to verify. Just look at your countershaft. If it's after a certain year model, there'll be a seal plate that stops the countershaft from weeping oil. Apparently the seal in this main shaft could drip a little bit of oil and you may not notice it because of chain lube, etc. And meanwhile you're running the bike a little bit lower and lower in oil. It's not going to be quite as dramatic as the aforementioned upgrade, but it's definitely something to be aware of. And when it comes to making your bike bulletproof, this is just something that you should do. If it's not done, just take the caution of extra reliability and buy this cheap part and put it underneath your front sprocket. Next, I will have to mention the upper chain roller. Now mine was already removed from my bike, but apparently if you leave the upper chain roller on and you hit some jumps or you hit some bumps, it could break off and leave a hole in your frame. Now at first this is not a big problem. It's not going to immediately cause you any issue, but now you have an area which can take on mud, water, all sorts of nastiness that'll get inside your frame and start to rot it from the inside out. So there's a couple options here. You can just put a bolt in there. There's also an aftermarket solution that you can go buy, but if you do have one that already has a hole in the frame, you could fill it up with silicone, repaint it, and hope for the best. In any case, that's not something that's going to happen straight away, but if you're buying the bike new, it is something that you should be aware of just to upgrade. I'm sitting here saying upgrade, but basically take the roller out. Alright, our third thing to know. This bike runs super lean at the showroom. As I mentioned in my KLX versus CRF 300L debate last week, most modern motorcycles, to avoid the wrath of the government restrictions, run their bikes lean. Well, the DR650 is no exception, and in fact, it's probably a bit worse. I've been following information on the bike for quite some time, and I have seen more than one occasion where somebody has left it to warm up. Maybe they left it a little bit longer, and their pipe is glowing red when they look at the bike. Now this is due to a lean condition, which will make the engine run hotter, and of course introducing so much heat is not going to be good to your motorcycle, but it also could be bad for you if you accidentally touch it. Maybe you don't notice it and try to push it out the garage. And I don't know about you guys, but me, I've destroyed at least 1 or 2 pairs of pants by leaning them against my bike as I pushed it, or just maneuvering it in the garage. Now imagine a pipe is red hot, this could cause severe damage, but at the very least you should definitely get the proper jets for your elevation, and definitely if you put exhaust on, you have to rejet the bike. The next thing you should know, this bike is a bit heavy, but it's very capable. The thing is, the DR650 is marketed as a dual sport, which it is, but it has a pretty large engine for a dual sport that it kind of falls into the adventure bike category. If you were to consider it a venture bike, it is very light, but with such a heavy bike, it becomes kind of challenging to do light bike stuff, like single trip. Believe me, you can do it. I did it at last year's event Hammer Run. I brought out my DR650 with its fuel container and its hard pannier racks. The bike's starting to get up close to 400 pounds at this point, and it makes it a bit more challenging, but it can do much more than any heavy bike. Comparing it to my Tenere 700, it feels like a feather, but comparing it to my KDX 200, it feels like a bag of cement. So just be aware, what you're getting here is not quite a dual sport, but much lighter than an adventure bike, and if your goal is to do a bunch of light bike stuff, this may not be the bike for you. The next thing you should know is the seat is the worst. Now, thankfully, my DR650 comes with the Sergeant seat. Any single DR650 owner, they will tell you that it pretty much feels like you're sitting on some lumber. Now, sure, that's not too bad if you're sitting on it in the showroom and you think you can deal with it, or maybe you're making a small little commute, but if you're doing a whole day of riding, a hard seat could really eat away at your sanity. Just be warned, if you do pick up the DR650 and you do plan to have extended riding sessions, then maybe you should also invest in a seat and add that to the idea of how much you're actually paying for this motorcycle. But look on the bright side, getting an aftermarket seat is actually really nice and comfortable. Suzuki kind of forcing you to do that does have its silver lining. And the next thing you should know about the DR650 before you buy one is the suspension is notoriously soft. Now, why is this important? Well, because a lot of people are going to buy a motorcycle like this and they're going to have ideas of turning this motorcycle into an all-around adventure bike. But soft suspension does have its limitations with any type of riding when you load it down with camping gear, pannier racks, or just your daily ride essentials of toolkit, because you don't want to go out in the bush and not be able to make it back. Just keep in mind, heavy duty tubes, spoons, a little toolkit can add up quick, 10 to 15 kilograms, or 22 to 30 pounds very easily. Couple that with all your riding gear and soft suspension on a bike like this could be a huge detriment. Now, believe me, being someone who had a 300L and a 300L Rally, I'm very familiar with soft suspension. The only difference is I didn't really use the 300L as an adventure bike. I used it more of like a short-range dual sport. But the DR650, on the other hand, is a bike that can cruise at high speeds, has no problem on roads, and you kind of tend to stray a bit further off the beaten path when you have a bike like this. So also, once again, when you buy a DR650, if you buy it new from the showroom, also consider that you're probably going to want to do suspension. But you're better off for it. Most people just deal with the suspension that the bike provides for them, and it's never sprung for their weight, their sag isn't correct. The advantage here is if you do get aftermarket suspension, it'll be perfect for you, and it'll be set for you, and you'll have a very good riding experience. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, in 2 days I'll have another video that coincides with this one, and also I'll pin all 3 videos in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the content so far, and if you want to support the channel any further, you can visit our website, motorcyclesoffroad.com, and pick up a t-shirt, or you can go check out the Patreon. If you decide to sign up and become an active patron, it definitely helps me out a lot because YouTube, doesn't pay us much, and all this video equipment and everything and going out riding, it costs a lot of money, but I also love to do it. So guys, I hope you also love the ride, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there, guys. My name is Andrew, and this is Motorcycles Off-Road. Thanks for watching, guys.